All right, everybody. We are back here at the War Room. I'm your host, Keith Corbus, along with my awesome co-host, John Moynihan, a.k.a. JMO.
You're
And we have our first returning guest on the show. Actually, our first guest, as a matter of fact. He's a 28th round pick by the Texas Rangers. He came out of Hillsdale College. He's from Armada, Michigan. Jake Hoover. What's up, Jake?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me again.
thanks
Pleasure
for
as
coming back on,
always.
man. We're really
Um,
excited to have you.
Real quick one. The pronunciation of my town is Armada, actually.
Armada.
Armada,
To
yeah.
know. All right. All right.
Everybody pronounces it wrong.
We definitely screwed that up with the first one
Armada,
too.
Michigan.
Yes, sir.
So, Jake, hopefully, we've done a few shows, so hopefully we've gotten a little better at this compared to the first time around. But you were excellent the first time. But so what's been going on with you? We haven't talked since the first episode. I think it was in September, so it's been a little while.
Been a little while, yes, sir.
Anything interesting?
Interesting as of right now. No, I don't really have any good news, I guess.
No.
It's cool to see all the trades that are going through in the MLB and the big leagues right now.
Mhm.
Fortunately, a couple of guys that I knew and had played with in the past, especially the last year, ended up getting traded away. But
Damn.
that's part of the game, and it's kind of cool. I mean, as much as it is unhappy to see everybody move around, it's still kind of cool to see it in first person because you're always like, oh, that was interesting, but he's gone now. So to me, it's a little interesting just to see that side of baseball.
I guess as a fan perspective, you really never know like what that process is about. And we've talked about it with we had one of our guests, Rob Kaminsky. He was the only guy to get like traded midway through a season, and he was in the minors. He was with the Cardinals this past season, but he basically said it's like the most like basic thing out of nowhere. They call you up and they're just like, "Hey man, like you're traded," and that's it. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay.
He was on a bus. I think he said he was on a bus from Ohio to Maine to play up in Maine.
Yeah, something
Like halfway through the bus ride, he's like, the guy calls him and he's like trying to sleep on the bus. He's like, you got traded. Get off the bus, like, and you're meeting your new team on the road.
Yeah, he's like, I guess I'm going to Cleveland.
That'd be an interesting. That would be definitely an interesting situation to say the least, especially the bus. If you're going to be on the bus and getting the call, that's always fun.
You know who he told too, which is kind of interesting looking back. He's like, yeah, the first guy I told was Luke Voigt. He was like sitting next to me, and I was like, Voigt, I just got traded. Like I was like, damn, all right.
Yeah, that's tough.
So kind of anything. So I know, JMO and I were, we were discussing how one of the things you were talking about way back in September was kind of, the working out process, not having like a full season because of COVID, and kind of just like looking to gain more weight and, just in general at all and fill out your body more. Have you been doing that?
Yeah. Luckily, we've had a lot of time, and unfortunately for myself and a lot of other people around, specifically our mate in Richmond, there's been a gym that's been pretty open.
Okay.
To the public. So shout out to the Rack in Richmond. It's good. It's good that they stayed open. So I've had my opportunities to get in there and hone my craft and gain some size and some muscle and some strength and get better every day.
Awesome. There you go.
It's been nice. It's been real nice to have a gym.
Absolutely.
Also, one of the things I was kind of interested to hear from your perspective, I was just talking about with JMO. So we saw the other day that the season might get pushed back to May due to they want to get if vaccines are available, they'll try to get everyone vaccinated before the season starts. So obviously it's much more safe. When you heard that news, does that kind of change anything for you per se?
No, the only thing that really changes is my plans. Honestly, I'd like to the plan is always to get down there to spring training pretty early.
Yeah.
That way I can just kind of get on the field and, like I said, get used to playing in the heat and get used to the fields and being on them because we don't have too much dirt showing in the winter here in Michigan. But nothing really changed. Obviously, just kind of disappointed. Obviously, you look forward to going back to the field and getting back with a bunch of your friends and your teammates and, back to the organization and talk to everybody and, get back to playing baseball. That's what it comes down to. And
for sure.
If it's pushed back a little bit, I'm not too worried anymore. I'm not basically not going to allow it to affect me too much because eventually I'm going to go back. I know that. And it may be a little later than usual, but I'm going to be able to play baseball next year. And I think that's the positive you need to look at. That's the way you need to look at it.
Definitely.
Possible.
Have they given you like a scheduled date to come back for like spring training yet?
As of
Or-
right now, we don't have any dates to come back. No, sir.
No, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question too. Is like, even if, like, hearing it for us, it was like via Twitter or other sorts of social media. It's like, do you guys have any sort of insight into, like, the Rangers come to you and they're like, hey, so this was what might happen, and then so you at least have some sort of inkling of what ideas are being tossed around, or do you find out kind of like the same time as the rest of us? Like,
Like, I guess it goes hand in hand. Sometimes, you find out beforehand. For the most part, the Rangers do a really good job of keeping us updated. Everything that the public knows, usually we know a day or two beforehand. If it's information that needs to be passed down, you'll get a call from anybody, any of the superiors, any of the coaches, managers, intel guys, any of the guys that have information to pass it down to you that needs to be passed down, it'll get to you. So you're not too worried about that. In terms of like knowing dates and stuff like that, and knowing that possibly we're going to be pushed back, we had a meeting a couple days ago, I think last week sometime, and that kind of covered it. But most of us knew previously to that by talking to, we stay in touch with our trainers and our coaches and stuff. So word kind of gets around when you're just talking and BSing with some of the guys.
Sounds good. So kind of when you're talking with the trainers and things of that sort, are they kind of individually telling you, hey, like, this is what we're expecting from you this coming up season, like, this is what we want for you to like make the jump to, maybe the upper tiers or whatever? Like, are they looking for you expectation wise, like, this is what we want to see from you?
Yeah, to an extent, yeah, that conversation is had. I wouldn't say it's like a very clear cut A B, like this
Right,
is what
yeah, of
this is
course.
where I want you to be. This is the clear cut mold we want you to be. There's no real kind of thing such as that. In terms of like the things that they want to see. So like our hitting coordinator, Cody Atkinson, who I'm going to be flying out to Seattle to see soon, and hit with him in a couple of weeks in January. He gave all of the hitters in our organization basically something to work on in the off season. Like, there's two things you can work on. He gave us an actual document, and it gives you things you can work on, drills. It gives you links to the drills. It gives you 20 different videos to the drills. It gives you all these different things. So in terms of like the hitting part right there, yeah, there's growth there. There's things that they want you to see. Talk with the trainers and like the lifting coaches. Obviously, you come in after last year specifically. I was told I needed to be stronger and faster and be back to where I was during my college season before I got drafted. And so you come back, you do that, and they expect it. And then I think it's kind of on you in terms of like your body style and how you want to play. If you need to bulk up, or you feel you're not hitting it with enough power, you're not being strong enough, or your body's breaking down early or something like that. I think it's like it's like a relationship you have with your trainer. You obviously let them know that you're not feeling good or you want to be this, and they'll help you along with it. I
Sure.
think it's kind of your own personal career, right? It's your own career, and you can kind of make your own decisions as you go, and nobody can tell you, you have to do this. Obviously, it's going to
Right.
affect it if you don't do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think for the most part, we all have an idea of what we need to do. And if we don't, we're always asking questions, trying to find out, what's going to be better for us and what's going to help us along the way. And, just having open ears and open eyes and doing your best to stay level headed while you're there and talk to as many people as you can to get the ideas of what you need to get to.
Sure.
That is always good. But yeah, I mean, we always have people telling us, what they'd like to see, but definitely asking is I think the main way to go about it. You'll find out.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's funny because like you see, it's kind of like any other job that you would do realistically. They're expecting, like, they're asking, like, these are my expectations for you, like, blah blah blah, except you're just dealing with professional athletes, and it's super cool. Pretty much.
It's not much different. I mean, it's like any other baseball. Sports in general are just like any other thing. It's you go and do something, right? You put your boots on, you go to work, you go do your job. It's the simplest form of baseball. I go put my cleats on, I go do my job, and then I come home.
Exactly.
That's essentially what I'm doing at an everyday job at a cubicle, or working outside, or anything at any point.
It's crazy to think about it like that, though, too.
Yeah, it's nice to think about it that sometimes. I think baseball and in the world of sports can get little overwhelming, and it's always nice to be able to calm it down and just say, hey, if you need to take it one day at a time, that's a good way to do it. Just say, hey, especially once you get the season rolling, it's nice to do that and just say, take it one day at a time. Like, hey, all right, wake up, get my stuff done, let's go put my boots on, go to work for the rest of the day, not have to worry about anything. Game ends, or you can shut it down for a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's your free time mentally. But
And that's how people always say, like, there's like examples out there of like, I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head, but they always say that like the people that are like these super athletes, super successful athletes, they go do their work, they treat it as their job, and then afterwards they wind down.
Yeah.
And stay balanced, because I feel like that's kind of like the best way to deal with it. Because like you can't go out there and hit 500 every single day.
No, I
wish. You know what I mean? It's like it's crazy because baseball is the only sport where you can go 3 for 10 and you're considered elite.
Yeah, I know that stat blows my mind every time I hear it.
Right? You still got out 7 times, but as long as you got 3 for 10, you're
failing
elite.
Majority of the time, man, you're still pretty good.
Exactly.
Yeah, you were talking about it too, like taking time to wind down. Like, do you guys like in the minors, and like obviously you guys are traveling a lot and you guys are on buses and stuff. Do you guys have the ability to kind of like as a team go out and like have during like one of your off days, so you have maybe 2 days off or something, you have one day off where it's like kind of like a group bonding thing, or like the entire team has a day off? Do you guys have any time to kind of do that during the season?
Yeah. We don't have a lot of time. Obviously, you only get a couple of days off given, even if you're not playing the next day, you're still at the field all day. So like in terms of like our day offs or our rain days or something like that, I think when we were in Spokane last year, we went out on the lake at Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and we had a big team thing there with like a kind of like a lake cruise, like where you go on and you just kind of hang out on the boat, enjoy the water. And we did that with a lot of our host parents. So that was really cool. That was like a bonding thing, not just with the team, but with the host parents as well. Obviously, when we go on trips and like that, well, a couple of obviously groups of guys will go and have dinner at a certain place or go have a drink or two at a bar. And, you get to meet. That's like the easiest way to bond with your team. And I think that was a big part of it, of our winning in Spokane, is when we were a really good, good group of guys and a team that wanted to win.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt.
You definitely have plenty of time, and the days off. Obviously, the days off don't come very often, though.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how many days, like for a minor league season, how many days on the road do you think you're on?
How many days off? As in like not playing? Personally, or like as in like you have like an off day for the whole squad?
Let's say like off day for like the whole squad. Yeah.
Off day, like and completely off, like no baseball.
Like you're good for the day.
That didn't happen very often. I can look up the schedule if you want. From what I remember, probably 3 or 4 days, maybe.
That's nuts.
It was it's tough, man. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it wasn't really that tough. It wasn't that bad. I enjoyed baseball enough to where I look forward to
for sure
every day. And whatever, you can count up how many games I played last year. It's not a ridiculous amount, but it's a lot more than what a normal college player is used to. And I didn't have a problem physically with it. Wasn't hurt. Obviously you get sore and I guess you get kind of hurt, but I never was injured. It's a good way to put it.
That was going to be my next question, actually, leading into that, because, obviously you didn't play. You don't play like the amount of games you would, right? Like you said, in a regular minor league season. So it seems like you adjusted to that well. But did you take any different type of avenues to make sure your body recovered more so than in college?
Yes and no. Towards the end of my career in college, so towards my final year, my junior year, I think I spent a little bit more time in the training room than, I had years prior, but it was more of a preparation, making sure that other things didn't go wrong. Before, if it was a really cold game out, making sure I'm getting my back work done, or a certain spot that's kind of, you can feel it starting to nag a little bit. So I think I learned in college early that it was best to just get in there and get treatment and, do 20 to 30 minutes of work beforehand to prevent missing 20 plus games.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I think that was a plus side to it. Your body hurts, man. It's a season. It's baseball. You're playing
exactly.
Metal things underneath your feet for 3 hours out of the day, at least.
Yeah. You're running as hard as you can every day. Those legs are getting put to work.
So yeah, your body hurts, but I mean, same as any other sport, man. It's just are you hurt or are you injured? One of my soccer coaches when I was really younger, we had that conversation when I was like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
It was always, are you hurt or injured? One of the two. And usually you figure out really quick if you're hurt or injured.
Yeah.
That's true, honestly.
Yeah, we talked about it like a little bit of, obviously, like the physical things that you have to do in order to like stay sharp and everything. But like you were saying, kind of, you're on the road so much and stuff, and maybe you're playing 6 out of 7, 7 out of 8, whatever it may be. And what do you kind of do to stay mentally sharp when you're in those like kind of long stretches where you're playing almost every single day? Have you found something that specifically works for you? Have you kind of like looked and seen like what other guys are doing to kind of like relax their mind, but also kind of stay within themselves, I guess, in a sort of sense?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Thanks. I know there's a couple of things. Obviously, I like music a lot. I'm really passionate about music, so I like listening to music before games. And
Really go-tos.
Before game, if I need to be amped up a little bit, obviously you can listen to like hip hop and rap and all these good musics, or like I listen to a lot of metal when I lift actually, so that's
Okay.
good once in a while. But like something classical will pop up in there once in a while if I'm really amped up or something like that. So like music in terms of like right before the game, kind of setting my mind at ease, trying to be calm before the storm. That's always the way I was taught how to be, is really calm before the storm. You don't want to be amped up. You don't want to be thinking about it too much. You just baseball is kind of one of those sports where you don't want to be like this. You kind of want to be pretty stable the whole time. So, in terms of like the focusing thing, and playing, like you said, those long series or on a road trip for a long time. Yeah, it's nice to be able to get comfortable at home after those trips, but you try not to think about it, one. And two, I think some guys just have the ability to like turn off the focus on and off well. Most baseball players are very good at that. If you think about it, we're
For sure.
kind of lackadaisical a lot of the time, and then a ball, like our play involves us, right? So that's bang, focus, hard focus for 10 seconds, or an at bat. Prime example would be an at bat. Hard focus for 5 seconds, right? And then it's off. Shut it down. Focus for 5 seconds, hard focus. So I think the hitting themselves and being baseball players, I think you're taught that eventually as you grow up, because you have no choice but to focus, unfocus, focus, unfocus, focus on constantly.
And I think the game in general, like compared to other sports, I would say, because like if you think about it, right, you're a pitcher, right? You have to focus because you got to get it over. You're throwing 95 miles an hour over a small little plate. Like, you know what I mean? Like you have to stay laser focused on that, because if you take 1 second and maybe you see something in the crowd that's interesting, then you're gonna throw it over the backstop pretty much. Same thing as
happens, though. That's not
for sure it does.
That's what a lot of people don't understand. So when you watch like the professional, the big leaguers play, and you're watching these guys, overcome their emotions when they're super excited, they're even kill all the time, and they're doing all this. What you see young guys show their emotions more often now, but a lot of times you don't see them explode and react to certain things. They're kind of calm, right? Over the years, I think you learn that. I think you learn the focusing thing over the years and being able to shut it off and turn it on. And pitching is a prime example. Think about, when's the last time you guys played baseball and you were just, what position you were sitting in? It doesn't matter. You catch, you're looking out, just BSing with your right fielder or something like that. Or, talking with your pitcher or your infielder, whatever it is. You can see somebody in the stands that you recognize. Like there's times where you lose focus. It's normal.
100%.
But being able to get back to it ASAP is important, or diminishing on the times that happens are very important. So yeah, I think the focus thing is pretty much learned through the sport itself, but it's extremely important. Being able to
I think definitely as you get older too, right? Would you say? Yeah.
I think definitely as you get older. I think it probably gets easier as you get older.
Right.
It may not, more distractions come into your life. Think about it. You get married, you have kids. Baseball, if it's still in your life, becomes harder. It's not going to get easier for you as you get older by any means.
That's a good point.
And everybody's getting better. Every time, think about it. As a scout, what's your job, right? You draft somebody, you get somebody there. Your job is to replace that person immediately, right? So that the competition is always growing. There's always somebody better than you. And so I guess that's the fun part of it. And that's kind of how life is in general, I guess. Yeah, that would be
that's a good point, honestly, though. I didn't really think about that, because there's all the other like factors that aren't baseball that could, like obviously like kids and stuff like that. COVID too. Like you got to make sure everyone's, staying safe, and you don't want to be doing the wrong things, like going to, public places and things like that, especially when you're in season, because then you can risk everyone else potentially getting it if you were to get it. So definitely like, especially this season, like alone too, I think that this was one of the hardest seasons you could possibly do. Cause like everyone's like, oh, 60 games, 60 games. I don't know if you guys would kind of agree, but like it was 60 games, but it was a super difficult 60 games because you had to make sure everyone stayed safe.
Super safe, a lot more money spent, a lot more time, a lot more focus on the little things, right? All the
Right.
little things that we probably didn't do as well before are being done perfectly now because we have.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I think the stress and anxiety from that probably builds as well. Just makes
Yeah.
everything harder.
Like that was my perspective on the whole thing was like, okay, like maybe some people's stats, right? Like in 60 games, you kind of, the some might have had an amazing 60 games where you're like, yeah, like great. Like, some guys you expected it from regardless, but like the guys that's like kind of struggled in the 60 games, I'm like, I don't know how, like compared to other years, obviously, I don't know how much you can take that into fact because there's just so much more pressure with maintaining that like super strict guidelines with everything. And then on top of that, having to go perform.
Yep. And then on top of that, not knowing when your season was going to be, if you were going to have a season, you got family members that are sick, you got, friends that are sick, you got a bunch of other things going on, not being able to move, not being able to go out of your house, not being able to work out in a certain area. There's so much to it.
Right.
And, especially this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even too, it's like you play in 60 games. It's like everybody's in it. As soon as opening day hits,
Right off the jump. Marlins made
everybody's
it.
got a shot, right? Like,
The
yeah.
Marlins
And
won a playoff series. That goes to show everything. Worst team in baseball year before.
Crazy, man.
It really was. Yeah, it was actually like just a genuinely crazy season. I don't know, Jake, if you can kind of, if the season starts in May, do you think that we get 160 in, or do you think we get 100 or 162, whatever?
I don't see us getting in 160 just because it's, it gets cold pretty early in some places. And
Right.
let me tell you firsthand, it's hard to play baseball in the cold. It sucks.
Yeah.
I tell you never to do it. It's one of those sports you don't ever want to play. But is there a way to fit those games in? Probably. There's probably a way. We can play later in the year. We can always migrate to fields that are warm, right?
Yep.
Have fields that are going to be warm. They always have more than one. So the opportunity to play is always going to be there. Do I think they're going to try to, work in 160 as best as they can, but they're not going to push it, right? There's no reason yet. If we're going to still play 120 games, it's still going to be a decent amount of games. We're still going to play straight through 120 games, so it's still going to be a grind, but it'll be a little bit easier. And you never know, there might be some fall series that pop up. You might have, minor league teams moved around a little bit or pop up or play more in like November or December. There's so many things that you can do just to get in more baseball if need be.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if I, like you're saying, I don't think they're going to push the 162, but I'd probably say if they start in May, right, and everyone gets vaccinated to, some extent, probably 120 makes sense. But that also gives like guys enough. That's like, it's not a full season, but like the teams that start off real hot, that like you're always like, there's always that like one team in April that's always like, okay, like damn, like they made it. They're like over 500. Didn't expect it to happen, and they just hit a brick wall going on the rest of the way through. That won't happen this year, I don't think. I think
No,
it'll be more realistic kind of standings of where everyone sits.
I don't know. I think it's more apt to happen. I feel like this year, if you
You
play,
think?
because when you're playing 60, you get hot. You're gonna stay hot, and that's like sure you win 10 out of 12, and now it's like you're leading the division instead of losing 10 out of 12 and 120, and you're like, okay, well now I can make those games back up.
Fair.
But
Yeah.
losing 10 out of 12 in a 60 game season, your season's over.
That's tough.
That's a good point.
That is a good point, actually. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess there's so many different ways that it can go. We can only think, possible scenarios.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
One of the things I kind of want to backtrack on, if that's all right. So
Yeah,
you're talking about like you put in the work in the weight room, and it clearly, you've talked about how you have been able to work out and stuff like that and get better. One of the things that we've been talking about with a lot of people that are kind of in the similar, similar like doing the same thing you are, trying to gain weight, kind of like test out like what weight works for them. Have you kind of like been kind of going through that? Because like I know like a lot of guys have been saying like, yeah, like I don't know yet if this weight's gonna work yet, but we're just gonna, trial and error it pretty much.
Um, I think for the most part, I've found where I like to be. I had a good conversation with one of our managers during spring training about size because I came in a lot heavier than I had been before. In my entire life playing this, sport of baseball at spring training, and it seemed like I was better at everything. Like I was stronger, I was faster, arm felt better, legs felt better, back was everything. Everything felt better, being bigger and stronger. So I was like, well, at this weight, should I move up? Am I going to feel the same? So I had a long
Right.
conversation during BP with one of our managers about weight, and we're built about roughly the same size. And I remember him telling me he went up like 5 or 10 pounds and only hit like 5 or 6 more home runs, which I mean is relative. It depends on the person, I guess. But he said it didn't really affect him as much as he thought it was. It wasn't like he was going to go out and hit 20 more bombs for 10 extra pounds. So
Right.
in the grand scheme of things, I think you need to know your job and know what your worth is and know what you're good at and capitalize on the things you're really good at. If you have the opportunity to be a bigger guy and sit at, 210, 220 at 6'3", 6'4", there you go. That's your best spot. But whatever works the best personally for you, I think is what everybody wants.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you,
Sorry, Jimmo, go ahead.
I just had a quick question because like obviously we've seen like some players, whether they be in the minor leagues, major leagues, whatever it may be, struggle with weight, the battle of the bulge, if you will.
Different body styles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll have some teams be like, you need to cut weight. And then obviously in your situation, they're like, hey, we think that it'd be best if you actually put on weight. And I feel like also too, at least in my opinion, I feel like, whatever like you're comfortable playing at, you should play it sort of that weight because that's like what you've kind of been doing your entire life. And it's like, if I feel comfortable doing that, then why can't I just continue to play at that weight, I guess? And it's like, have you, like when you kind of were as big as you said you were like kind of at the biggest that you were coming into spring training, was that kind of your decision or was that the team's decision? And then at one point was it like, even if I like put on this extra 5 or 10 pounds, like in a general sense, it was like, am I going to feel fat almost and like kind of slow and sluggish?
Yeah, you're going to get to a point, obviously, if you get too big. That's the idea is obviously to gain weight while still staying flexible and, and worthy of your speed. There is a point. There's a fine line where you can get.
Yeah.
You can get to that. And I've seen guys get there. I had guys in college that did it. They gain all this weight, but they forget about having to run 180 feet when you're big and you're hitting all these bombs. So I think there's a trade-off. Yes, gaining weight and getting stronger will help you hit the ball farther and harder and hit more home runs. That way you don't have to worry about running as much. But for the most part, I think people, in terms of their comfortability, they know what their body should look like, right? We have guys that are overweight. They know they're overweight, but if they do their job right, like John was saying, if they're comfortable with it and they do their job just fine, why should it matter? It goes along with selling the player too. Obviously, you're in the big league, so you represent the club. So you need to look the part, right? You need to act the part, you need to play the part. There's a lot of those things that go along with it. But in terms of like your longevity, I think most of our team, it goes for longevity. Your health is very important in terms of how long you guys are going to play. Right. So your longevity, your knees, let's say for an example, if you're a catcher and you're overweight, a little bit more weight on the knees, right? Generally, it's not going to last as long, so you're not going to be worth as much money. So when it comes down to all these little increments of money and how much you're worth, if you really want to get into like the grittiness of like the business side of baseball. But and when the money directly translates to wins, right? So if we're spending money on a person that's worth this, we want him to be his best A1 version of it. That way we can translate to more ones for us and translate to more money, and then it's just a constant flow. But for the most part, yeah, guys, it's your own career, right? It's your own career. You can work out. If a trainer tells you to go work out and you just tell them to piss off, you can do it. Excuse my language, but it's your career. You know what I mean? It's your career. If you want to do that, go right ahead. So everybody takes it with a grain of salt. If you're overweight or if you feel overweight, you can always talk to a trainer and ask. They'll tell you straight up if you need to lose weight.
They'll be honest with you.
Like,
They're always there to help you. They're not going to be there to hinder you in any.
For sure. Yeah, that's your job. They got to help you out.
You think I could lose a few pounds? Yeah, you're fat.
Yeah. Yep.
Gotta get rid of those that belly and that chin, man. We gotta get rid of. There's supposed to be one.
Like, yeah, well, definitely, you should probably be doing that. Yeah, just like put it up straightforward.
Cane's chicken for a little bit.
And you kind of touched upon it where like everyone's different, and I feel like that's like also one of the best things about baseball is that there's just so many different. Like you can be, 5'9", like Mookie Betts, hitting 30 home runs and doing all that kind of stuff, and then you can be freaking like Randy Johnson, who's like 6'10".
Chris, like Yelich, Bo Bichette. Bichette's not a very big guy, right?
Yeah, Yelich isn't either. I mean, he's tall, but like he's not.
He's lengthy, so he's got some good length and some good elastic ability in his body. So he's a little different. But guys like he's another one, Kike Hernandez, right?
Yeah,
unreal. Little guy.
Baseball doesn't care.
I'm excited to see where he ends up, dude. I think that he's one of the better. Like
I was gonna say, I think he's a pretty decent player too. I think he gets overlooked being on that roster.
100%. Yeah, that roster. Yeah, for sure. All right. You guys want to get into a few? We have a few kind of fire. What's the word, JMO? What am I looking for?
Rapid fire.
All right, so we thought of a few new ones. I want to know what this one's for you. Okay, it's kind of putting you on the spot, but what is your hottest take? Like, no matter what, like you stick with it no matter what. It could be about baseball, it could be about anything.
My hottest take about anything? Oh.
Yeah.
Hottest take.
I don't want the people of Michigan to get mad at me over my take.
I want to hear them. Why don't you guys go first? Let me sit on mine for a second. Let me roast them.
Now I'm getting put on the spot. I'm like, oh god, I don't know if I have one.
The four worst teams in all major sports are in Michigan.
It's tough right now.
Jake's like, hey, I'm out of here. I'm not coming on again.
But yeah, sports in Michigan they're beat right now. They're beat.
Oh, I got a hot take, or a decently hot take. New Jersey pizza, I'd probably say besides New York City is the best in the country.
I wish I would have had more pizza in both of those places. I've had a lot of pizza there.
I stick with that. JMO knows it.
I like Chicago. Chicago pizza is pretty good. Big fan of Chicago
deep
pizza.
dish?
Yeah.
Okay. I never had deep dish.
Downtown Chicago and Detroit.
Keith, when I came down to your house, you talked so much about the pizza, and then we just had bagels.
Bagels also, though. Bagels are top notch.
I like bagels. I'll take a bagel with avocado in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good combo.
All right, you got a hot take or no?
All right, yeah,
I want to hear it.
I don't. I got a lot of hot takes, dude. I got a very opinionated person. Hot takes without. I gotta be careful.
Uh-oh.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say I don't know if I feel that way though. I was gonna say my girlfriend's over here whispering and telling me I should say cats are better than dogs.
Oh, that is a hot take. Oh my!
That is a hot take.
I like animals. I just like all animals, so it's tough. I've had a cat. I've had dogs, so it's tough.
I've grown to like cats more though. Like I'm still a dog person, but definitely I've grown to like cats.
Oh God, Keith.
They're good animals, man. You got to find the right cat. You can.
Yeah, exactly. That's the key.
Right cat, you can actually make it act like a dog.
Ted, we're putting you up for adoption, dude. You hearing this?
So Jake, also something kind of funny that we've always asked the Chipotle and Qdoba, right? And I believe you said, did you say Chipotle?
I'm a bigger fan of Doba.
Yes, you are. Okay, yes. You were the only person to say it so far.
Did anybody give reasons, or were they just like, "Nah, Chipotle's better"?
No, they gave. Well, some people when we asked it, it was like Chipotle or Qdoba. A lot of times it was like they didn't even have Qdoba around them. It was like
That's
Chipotle.
what
Or
it is.
Moe's.
Most
And so
people don't have adobo.
yeah, between those two, they were like, well, Chipotle, I guess, because you asked it, but
Some people go
yeah.
Moe's. They'll be like,
Yeah.
I rather Moe's over all of them.
I've never had Moe's before.
I've had it
Neither have I.
once.
We don't have any up in the Northeast. I feel like there's like none
No.
around me at least.
Yeah, I don't know what we don't have a lot of. Yeah, we don't have anything. Don't have anything up here. I'm sure you guys probably have more than us. Do you guys? Do you have Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
They just opened one like a year ago close by.
I love Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, it's
What?
bad, dude.
I get that very frequently.
Do you have Mott's Pizza? Pieology?
Mm-mm.
Nope. Those are
No.
quick pizza places. Raising Cane's is a good one, right? Do you guys ever Raising Cane's?
No,
No.
I've heard great things about Raising Cane's too.
Gosh,
Me too.
dude, we destroy that place when we're down in spring training. We get that almost every day.
I've heard the good things about that place, yeah, but I've never went.
That place is good. All right, hot take. Christmas is not the best holiday.
What's
Okay.
the best holiday?
I think that's a good one. I like Halloween. I think Halloween's the best holiday. I have more fun on Halloween than I think I do on Christmas.
I like
Okay.
that hot take. That's a good one.
Just Halloween's better.
Fair enough. I enjoy Halloween too. I think Halloween's a nice little holiday. Get to
For
see
some
all the
reason, I
kids.
just never got into Halloween. I don't know why. Just
No?
growing up, I don't know why. Just never.
It's because you're a weenie, Keith. That's why.
I guess so. All right, guys. I think we have to kind of close this out. We're running out of time here. But Jake, again, always a pleasure, my good sir.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you
love
for coming
talking
on.
to you guys. Thank you for the opportunity, man.
Absolutely.
For
And best
sure,
of luck
of course.
with the rest of your off-season training and
Yeah.
getting ready for hopefully
Keep
a
us
nice long-
updated how everything's going, and hopefully we can have you on again. A few months down the line or so.
Yes, sir. I would look forward to it. I'm like I said, I enjoy coming on here and talking baseball and BS with you guys, man. It's always fun.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. This episode will be out this Friday,
All right.
12 p.m. as always. And you know what? Jamo, close us out.
We'll see you in the next one.
Yeah,
Peace.
peace.
See you guys.